Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Pearl of the Pacific. You can find the podcast on YouTube or my website or Ravelry. And my website is pearlofthepacific.info and the Ravelry group is called Knitted Paradise Podcast. Well, welcome everyone to episode 68. Today is Sunday, March 29th, and it's the evening time. It's been a little bit of a crazy weekend, which I'll get into later. But thought I'm going to take this time and say hello to all of you. So, let's get going. Below the conch shell, we have the YarnCon Gnome Knitalong, and I brought in a little tag to show you. Not like this helps a whole lot, but YarnCon is April 18th and 19th, and is at the Chicago Journeyman Plumbers Union Hall. Down the bottom there. It's complicated. You can also find out about it at yarn.com. Sorry, yarncon.com, not yarn.com. That's webs. Sorry. There's Facebook, looks like Twitter, there's an email list, stuff. So, if you live in the area, check it out. The Gnome Knitalong, put on by Mochi Mochi Land, is happening, and I put links down in the show notes, and which can be found, nice segue, in the Ravelry group, on the website, pearlofthepacific.info, and on YouTube. I just put them everywhere the video is, so that wherever you're watching the video, there are show notes. Because I hate having to go to a different place for show notes, so I try to just put them everywhere. It's not hard. For me, at least. I can just copy and paste. Luckily, it turns out alright. So, that is happening. I know there's some people on Instagram who are knitting tiny little gnomes, and I'm a little jealous. But I've had a lot of other things happening, so I haven't gotten to knit my tiny little gnomes, but I will. I've got a few weeks. Alright, so the other announcements are I'm going to be re-releasing my hat, mitt, and cowl patterns this week. I was able to get some new photos of them, which is very exciting. I have a friend who, I talked about it last week, because it happened last weekend. She's not a professional photographer, but she has a nice camera and she knows what she's doing, and she was willing to help me out in exchange for me making some knitwear for her. I was like, that is fine with me. I'll knit you a hat, any style, any color you want. I will knit you a hat if you just help me take pictures. So she helped me with that, and so if you go on the project page, not the project day, the pattern page on Ravelry, you'll see the new pictures added. And so those are going to be in the patterns, as well as some redesigning that I've done. The patterns themselves have not changed, except for the hat. The hat has changed very slightly. I've updated the stitch pattern just a little bit to make it easier. There was a funky thing that you had to do in order for the stitch pattern to work. And I figured out a way to do it by shifting the stitch pattern just ever so slightly, which you don't really notice the difference if you look at the two next to each other. But it makes it so you don't have to do that funky little thing. It makes things a lot simpler. So, I've changed the formatting just ever so slightly, and updated some information, added some more information, so hopefully it makes it more user-friendly for all of you. I've tried to arrange it so that all of the abbreviations and charts are on one page together, along with the chart key and everything. And then the pattern is either on one page. I think for the hat, mitt, and cowls, they're all on one page. The socks are spilling over onto a few other pages because there's a lot going on there. So if you're printing the pattern, like there's the title page, Then there's like the information kind of page with the introduction and materials and stuff you need to know. And then there's acknowledgments and pictures and stuff at the end. So if you're printing things, I know I do this with patterns. I just print the minimum amount of pages necessary just to save paper and ink. And so I've tried to put like the charts and abbreviations on one page and the pattern on a different page, and then all of the other information that you need to know but is not necessary for you to print. So I've tried to keep the stuff that you would want to print consolidated so that it's easy for you. So, I mean, you still want to read through the introduction and the pattern notes and things because they tell you very important things you need to know about the pattern when knitting it. But they're things that you need to know at the beginning, and once you read them, you don't really need to know them again. I mean, you will, but if you read them once, you should be fine. And so printable stuff is minimized and consolidated, which I appreciate in patterns personally. So I thought, I'm going to do that on my patterns. I'm going to make sure that's the case. The sock pattern is turning out to be a little more tricky just because there are a lot of things that are going on in it. Heading into my next announcement, I have decided I'm going to record some tutorials, some video tutorials. I have some picture tutorials, but I'm going to record some video tutorials to go along with the sock pattern, and they will only be available to people who purchase the sock pattern. And I've decided to do that because it takes me a lot of work to put together these patterns, let me tell you. I thought, oh, writing patterns, that's easy. No, it takes a lot of work. There's a lot of formatting, a lot of editing. Thankfully, my husband's an editor, so yesterday he went through the patterns with me, at least one of them, and caught a few things. I mean, he's not a knitter, but he knows some of like the knitting stuff because he hears me ramble on and on about it all the time. But he was able to pick up like, you know, complete sentences or like things not jiving correctly or the wrong kind of dash. Apparently they all mean different things. I didn't know. So it's very consistent now. That's really what I was going for. I'm like, he's like, I don't know knitting stuff. And I'm like, you can help me with consistency. Make sure everything is formatted consistently. Because that's something that drives me nuts, is when things are not formatted consistently. So he helps me with that. But the sock, anyway, what I was getting to with the sock patterns, it takes me a lot of work to, you know, record the tutorials and edit them and put them up and, you know, make sure that they're clear. And also they go specifically with this sock pattern. You can apply them to other sock patterns. As I've said before, this is kind of a recipe as well as a pattern. But kind of like the fish lips kiss heel is once you've, you know, purchased it and knit it through once, you can apply it to any other pattern. So that's what I'm going for. So, because I was trying to figure out a way to do it via photos or trying to link to other people's tutorials, and other people's tutorials on the things I use are great, but I've tweaked them a little bit just to make them work for me. And so I thought, well, if I'm putting out this pattern, then I might as well just go full speed ahead. So that will be happening soon. The pattern is written, and the test knitters have mostly gone through it. There's a few issues that I think we've worked out now, and but now it's formatting, and which takes forever, and filming the tutorials and things like that. So it will be soon, I promise. All right, let's see. On the island, I have one thing, and it is the static Zing socks, which are all twisted up. There we go. Okay. And here they are. I think last time you saw them, they were here, maybe? So they've gotten a lot of progress. Don't do that. Okay. I've got the dual computer thing going on here. I'm in a different location if you hadn't noticed, because my husband is in the other room working on writing his book, and I didn't want to disturb him. So I'm in the other room, and you can see I've got a lovely bookcase. You can see the Lego here. This is my Parisian restaurant up here, and then that's the pet shop and the apartment building house thing that goes with it. Ta-da! There's also random, I think the, what's over here? That's the, what is that called? It's the big suit thing from space. I don't want to say it's like the ecto suit. The name is escaping me. Anyway, that's there. We've got a Lego calendar, a Lego picture frame. There's Lego all over the place. And over here in the mirror, that's actually a mirror there, but it's the pile's actually over there. That's the tower of baskets where I have my works in progress. And there's my ukulele. And my Swift is in the blue case there. You can kind of see it. But yeah, up on the top are all my works in progress. Down below are kind of like my hibernating things. And then here I've got like yarn scraps and my interchangeable needles. And then on the bottom, which you can't see, is like random other bags and whatchamacallit, what else is down there? Some like my buttons that I collect from podcasters and things like that. So these are coming along, but these are pretty much what I worked on, because the things that I'll show you that I finished were really close to being finished last week, as you remember. So this is what has gotten attention. That is what they look like, and they are out of Mad Color Fiber Arts Doolally base in Doomsday machine, and the white is Cascade Heritage sock in white. They don't really have colorway names. I love how this is turning out. I love the colors in Doomsday machine. It's funny because I wouldn't normally be drawn to those colors, especially the warm tones. I tend more toward cool tones because I have red hair and I have a lot of pink in my skin, and so when I wear warm tones I just look red, and I'd rather not look like a tomato. It's bad enough when I go out in the sun because I just turn into a lobster. You'd think being from Hawaii, I burn, like, it's terrible. Anyway, enough about that because there's no sun outside. It was windy. It was windy today. I mean, I live in the Windy City, but seriously. So anyway, you don't want to hear about that. You just want to see the pretty socks. So I've done my gusset and the heel, and I did the Fish Lips Kiss short rows on these ones, and that one's done. This one's almost done. I'm just working back and forth on the gusset decreases. Kind of see them there. And ta-da! They stretch out a lot. I have tried them on and they fit perfectly. So that's really awesome. And that's the only thing that's currently on the needles because I have finished some things finally. I was in the middle of doing this. So while I'm finishing up this row, I will tell you what has been going on this weekend. So I work in web development for the Baha'i National Center, or at the Baha'i National Center. And so we run the website, the national website, Baha'i.us if you want to check it out. And what happened was they wanted us to make a change on it, and it came with the instructions of please do this ASAP. So that was yesterday afternoon. So the whole team got online. Luckily we can all work remotely, which is very convenient. And we hopped on and started working on making this change, which seemed rather simple, you know, just adding this little thing, and it has been insane. So that's what I've been working on a lot of yesterday afternoon, evening. Went to bed way too late, and then today again. So finally I told them, you know what? I have to do something for like 45 minutes before the sun goes down. And I'll be back. While I'm gone, have at it. So it's been kind of fun. I like playing around with code, but it's been kind of insane trying to like, well, let's try this. Well, let's try that. And so some of the styles aren't playing nicely with each other. It was really aggravating because you're like, well, I changed it. Why isn't it? And it's getting overridden from somewhere else. And anyway, if you know anything about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can probably figure out the craziness that has been going on. Anyway, I will finish these heels later. So, things I finished. I think they are all here. They are all here. Are they? No, I have to grab one. It's okay. So, I finished the Lentillia by Martina Baim out of Sweet Georgia. No, Three Irish Girls. Adorn sock. In the, I don't remember what it's called colorway because I didn't write it down apparently. And ta-da! Actually, I haven't tried it on. I finally blocked it, I think, yesterday. So here it is. Oh, it smells good. I used Euclid in the lavender scent. Ta-da! Let's try to get this right here. Ooh, I'm going all sorts of crazy. What is going on? There we go. Whatever. Ta-da! This is Lentillia. And hi, Pan. Do you want to come say hi? The cat just came in. And I love how it turned out. I had a little bit of yarn left over, not a whole lot, which was good. If you remember last time, I ended up ripping out a repeat because I didn't have enough for the edging. I was glad I did that because I had enough. And looking at the yarn I left over, it was a good thing that I ripped out because I wouldn't have had enough. But ta-da! So I finished this Monday night, actually, in the car. That's another funny story. I forgot. It seemed like it happened so long ago. So Monday we had this crazy snowstorm. There wasn't all, actually, there was like 4 or 5 inches, which was a lot. And so the airports, of course, had major cancellations all over the place. And our aunt happened to be stuck at one of the airports. So she called us and she's like, can you come pick me up? So on the car ride there, I was working on Lentillia, and on the car ride back, I finished her. So, hey, I would have probably finished her that night anyway, but it was just kind of nice. So we got to hang out with my aunt, which was kind of fun. Well, it's actually Jeremy's aunt, but my aunt now too, through marriage. So that was kind of fun. We got to see her, and yeah, finished a shawl in the car. Ta-da! So that's that. The other thing I finished, which you haven't even seen, you saw the yarn for it, was the Insulate hat by Amy Vandelar. And this is out of Cascade 220 in blue and gray. I'm calling it TARDIS blue and Dalek gray because I can. So, ta-da! It is done. So this is for my Doctor Who swap that I am participating in on Instagram. And she said she liked Dalek, so I was like, alright, this is the pattern I'm going to make. It is a little small. I was concerned about that. I mean, it fits over my head fine, but it's a little short. I'm kind of wishing I had done more of the ribbing. It says to do 6 rounds. I think I did 8, maybe even 9. So I did more than it calls for, but I still wish I had done more. So I may see if I can, I don't know if I want to pick up and knit down because that wouldn't really work, but I'll figure something out. But here, I haven't clipped the ends, but I have washed it. But they're my floats. I think I did a pretty good job. I used the method where I held the blue, which is kind of the background color, in my right hand, which is, I'm normally a thrower. So that would be my more dominant knitting hand. And then I used
the gray in my left hand and just did picking. So I'm ambidextrous, so I can do both, but I'm faster at throwing just because I've done it more, and my tension seems to be more even when I use that. And so that worked out. Well, look, if you fold it, you get $1. One in a little bit. So that is done, and we'll be going to my swap partner this week. And I finished the socks. Apparently I didn't stick in the bucket. Oh. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I retrieved them from the bucket. Or from the pile over there. They were just over there. Anyway, these are the Vanilla Latte socks by Virginia Rose Jeans. And these are in Sweet Georgia yarns. Tough Love in Bison. And ta-da! There they are. And I did more ribbing. I think they had like, I didn't read, it's a free pattern, but I think they had like knit 5, excuse me, and then Pro 1. I did knit 3 and then Pro 1. And then the next round you knit. It's similar to the bankhead hat, which I know has become very popular. And where you do the ribbing one round, and then the next round you just knit, and then the next round is ribbing. So they're very quick. They're very fast, which was really awesome. So those are done. Lovely brown color. I don't know if there you go. The light has faded. It's cloudy outside, so it's not as bright as I was hoping. But those are done, and we'll go to their intended recipient soonish. Not exactly sure when. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? We have. Oh, the other thing I finished. I'll talk about that a little later, because we're going to talk about sweaters a little bit later. Because someone asked a question about sweaters, and so I'm going to talk about sweaters. Let's see what else. From the mainland. I got some things from the mainland. I got some stuff and some crinklies. I've been wanting to try a loops yarn for a very long time, and they were having an update of Easter colorways, and I saw this one and it screamed, Lucy, you need to have this now. So what did I do? I bought it, and here it is. This is called Dapper Dude, and it is on their 80/20 gold sock base, and it is lovely. It's a little washed out in person. It's a little more blue, but it's got just this like hint of pink right here. It's got this, let's see if I can show that. This is the brightest part right here. There we go. Some bright yellow and green, but it's still pastel-y. It's not like bright. But that's like a little purpley in the blue. It's more blue than it's showing up. But it's a very pale turquoise, I want to say. Anyway, it's absolutely lovely. It's even prettier in person than it was on the computer. So I am thrilled with this, and I cannot wait to knit something. I have no idea what it's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be a shawl, just because I love these colors and they look really good on me, and I would like to have them near to my face. Just saying. I know it looks good on me. Baby colors. This is the problem. Like, I knit a shawl. I don't know if I was podcasting at that point, but I knit this shawl out of basically baby colors. It was pastel pink, pastel blue, pastel yellow, pastel green. It was like this light mint green. The colors were amazing, and they're totally me, and they look great on me, but it looks like a baby blanket. So I actually ripped it out. I'm gonna make a hat out of it because I feel like that's less babyish. Because otherwise people are gonna be like, "Are you wearing a baby blanket?" I'm not, I swear. One of my best friends was like, "Lucia, you need to not knit that at choir because then they're gonna all think you're pregnant. Because it's baby colors. I like baby colors. I'm sorry, they look good on me. What can I say?" So I made sure not to knit that at choir because I'm not pregnant. Maybe one day, but not right now. So, funny story about me and baby colors. It's turning out to be a very random episode. Alright, so the other thing I got was from the lovely Amelia, and I had seen one of these bags that she made. Actually, she posted the fabric on Instagram, and I instantly fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this fabric is amazing. And then she made a bag out of it, and then she put yellow on it, which then I was like, oh my gosh, I love this bag. And she's like, oh, would you like it? I'm like, yes, please. So we worked out something, and here's my new bag. It's got bikes on it and balloons, and it's kind of cool because that made me think, I mean, it's obviously, I don't think it's the skyline of Chicago, but it's, you know, reminiscent of the skyline of Chicago, and, you know, like me riding my bike down Lakeshore, and I just thought that was really fun. And balloons, I like balloons. I really like hot air balloons. That's kind of on my bucket list, is to go on a hot air balloon ride. Yeah, it's totally going on my bucket list. I actually have a bucket list. I found this new list app on my phone, which I'm really liking, and it comes with a suggestion for things. You have like to do things for today, and that's the boring part. But then they have like a someday list. So I've turned that into my bucket list, basically. So I'm going to add, it has always kind of been on my bucket list, but now I'm going to add it to the official one. I think right now all I have on it are see the Northern Lights and visit Paris. There's a lot of other things I'd like to do, but those are some of my like top of the list. There's things that if they came up, I would do them, but they're not like I have to do this. I would like to go back to New Zealand. That's another one. But I've already been, so I can't say it's on my bucket list. But I'd like to visit more of New Zealand because I mostly was in Auckland when I was there, which was lovely. I love it. And I would love to go back. But I would also like to see more of the countryside. Anyway, this is my lovely bag, which is segued into crazy amounts of talking about my bucket list. I tell you, this is a random episode. And she told me she was going to send a little surprise. I was not expecting this kind of surprise, Amelia. This is amazing. It is Malabrigo in lettuce. That's the colorway. And it looks like their Arroyo, which is their sport base. Because it's not Rios. But anyway, I love it. I love this colorway. I've loved it for a long time. I knit my mom a hat out of lettuce. No, I didn't. It wasn't lettuce. It was something else. Because I knit my mom a hat that was similar to this color in Rios. And then I knit her friend one that was similar to this. It was called Glitter, though. It was a little more golden than the bison. I don't know if it was lettuce. Now I want to know. I can look at it over here. Projects. Anyway, I love this. I don't know if Amelia probably knew, but let's see if it was lettuce. Hold on. It was lettuce. It was that colorway. But I don't have a whole lot left of that because I knit my mom a hat. But I have loved this colorway for a long time, and I love Malabrigo. If I had to pick like one yarn that I could knit with for the rest of my life, or like one company of yarns, probably be Malabrigo. Not gonna lie. I love their stuff. So, I'm really excited about this. I don't know what's gonna be, but I'm really excited. And she also sent me a thing of tea, which I'm very excited to try. I might even try that tonight. Ta-da! Ooh, packed. Sorry, I can't read apparently.
packed with flavor and antioxidants for a rejuvenating boost. I feel like I need this after today, looking at code. It all kind of blends together after a while. You're like, wait, how many divs are there? Bane of my existence. Divs. I tell you, they're crazy. Anyways, oh, sorry. I really can't read. Chocolate Superberry Burst. Oh, you can smell the chocolate through the package. I'm going to stick it back in here with the yarn. And then she sent me a nice little note and a little mint, which I will probably eat very soon. So thank you, Amelia. This is absolutely splendid. Yarn even goes with a bag. This yarn even goes with the bag. I'm really excited. And it's got this nice stripy stuff on the inside. And it's very cool. Ta-da! And it's got a zipper pull or a zipper tab on both ends. And that one matches the brown and matches the bikes, and then that one is a stripy that matches the inside. So thank you, Amelia. Alright, I think that's it for From the Mainland. Yep, my O-Loops yarn and my bagging yarn from Amelia. One more thing I want to show, and then we'll get to sweaters. My husband found this picture online as he was browsing Lego things, as he does. And he showed it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make this. So, this is made, here, I'll show you the kit that I made it from. This is not the actual thing. So they sell these like little mini kits, like mini kits. So this is a mini Millennium Falcon. And someone had taken the pieces from this mini Millennium Falcon and created a, ready, whoosh, Enterprise. Whoosh. Anyway, you can take a closer look. So this is all using pieces from this set, which is very exciting. We've tweaked the design a little bit, but here it is. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen a picture of this because I took it to work and put it on my desk, and then I brought it home to show all of you guys because I thought you'd appreciate it. And but I feel like I'm starting to out nerd my coworkers because I have a Lego TARDIS on my desk, and then a Lego Enterprise, and some other things. It's kind of exciting. My office isn't done yet, but when it is, I'll have to take more pictures and show you guys of all the nerdy goodness that is there. So, ta-da! You can kind of see the back end. If anyone's interested in building one of these, let me know and I can send you some pictures of it. But that's my Enterprise. We've been watching some of the original Star Trek, which has been kind of fun and funny. You realize it's totally 60s and totally retro and kind of hilarious in certain ways. So we've kind of been enjoying that and all the silliness. I mean, it's not really silly. Some of it's supposed to be serious, but it's kind of hysterical. The funky noises and all the craziness. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about some sweaters. So let's get to flora and fauna. We haven't had one of these sections in a really long time. So, sweaters. Someone had asked me to talk about my process for learning to knit sweaters that fit. And I shared a little bit about the Amy Herzog book, Fit to Flatter, which is an excellent, excellent resource. And I definitely recommend getting it. Sorry, I just noticed that was backward. I don't know what's going on. Alright, I should stop fiddling with it. There we go. It's an excellent resource for knitting sweaters and kind of figuring out your body type and what looks good on you and figuring out where to measure things. Because in patterns often they're like, well, it's this measurement and that measurement. And you're like, I don't know where that is on my body. Can you just tell me? So the book is really good about pointing that out. And then it has a chart, actually. I meant to bring the book in, but I didn't. It has has a chart in there where you can write down all of your measurements, so they're all there in one place in a book. They're easy to get to. And I wrote mine like really small, kind of in the corner, so maybe like I'll add my husband's or someone else's. So that's kind of fun. And so that's kind of where I started my sweater knitting process, because I had had a few failures in the past, and which have since been frogged because they were absolutely terrible, and I couldn't even salvage them for someone to wear them. Like, they were just that bad. And so I knit one from that book. It was the Chimera cardigan, and then after that I just kind of went crazy because I was like, oh my gosh, I love knitting sweaters. So the next one I knit was the Ginny cardigan, and I knit this, I think it was the one I knit right after the Chimera cardigan. And this is from the unofficial Harry Potter Knits book, and it's out of Malabrigo. Malabrigo, their single ply DK. Maybe that's Malabrigo Arroyo. I don't remember. Sorry, I have some weird stuff in my ear. Let me look that up. So I was having two computers out. And here it is. Let's see. Which base was this? Rustita. Sorry, Arroyo is the plied, like, sport or DK, and Rustita is the single ply. So this is knit out of a single ply, and it's thinner than the pattern called for. So what I did is a lot of math, basically. I'm going to kind of explain the math that I did. The most important thing when you're knitting a sweater is a gauge swatch. I know we all complain about them, but unless you knit a gauge swatch, your sweater's not going to fit. Sorry. It's not. Unless you're just really good at guessing. I'm not going to make a sweater fit just by guessing. So it's really important to knit a gauge swatch and wash it and block it and measure it, obviously, and find a fabric that you like. I don't know if I got the gauge called for in this pattern because my yarn is a different weight. But what I did was I knit a gauge swatch and I found a fabric I liked, and I did a calculation, which basically, because you have the number of stitches per 4 inches, and then you know how much you are around, and I did on the bottom, basically, where I wanted the bottom of the sweater to be, and I forget the exact calculation, but you divide your measurement by 4 inches, and then you multiply that number by the amount of stitches you have per 4 inches. Yes, this makes sense. So if your measurement is 20, I know no one's measurement is 20. I wear child sizes and my measurement's not 20. It's easier for math. So say your measurement is 20, divide that by 4, you get 5. Yes, I can do simple math in my head. No, I can't, but I can pretend like I can. So you get 5. And now 5 times the number of stitches is maybe 10. So you have 50. So then you're like, all right, well, I have to cast on 50 stitches in order for this sweater to fit me. And then there's the button band. If you're doing button band, then you can play around with that just a little bit. And then what I did was I looked in the sweater sizes, and I found the size that was the cast on stitches was closest to 50. So maybe the smallest size is like 45 stitches, and the next size up is 52 stitches for the cast on. I would have cast on for the 52 stitches. And so what I did with this sweater was my measurement around my bust, somewhere around here, is about 32. And I ended up knitting size 44 in order for this to work, based on that calculation. I just figured out how many stitches I needed to cast on. I went and looked in the pattern and it said, you know, for this size, cast on that many stitches, and that's what I did. And I just followed size 44. I read the pattern notes that said the sleeves were a little tight, so I went up a size on those. And I think that was it in the terms of math. So it worked. This sweater fits me like a glove, and I absolutely love it. The only issue I had was that my buttonholes were too small, which I think I've talked about before. I ended up solving that by sewed grosgrain ribbon actually on the back of both sides, the button side and the buttonhole side. And my friend has a sewing machine with an automatic buttonhole maker, and he just made holes. And they fit perfectly over the buttons that I got in Prague. And ta-da! You'll see the top button, or is even the buttonhole, is this tiny, tiny little thing. I never really buttoned the top hole, so I just added the button because it looked weird without one. But I told him he didn't need to sew that buttonhole because the ribbon doesn't go up that far because it's part of the neckband. And so those are the modifications that I made. And for every sweater I've knit since then, pretty much I knit a gauge swatch with the yarn I want to use, and with generally I generally stick with the size of yarn recommended and the size of needles recommended, and I start with that, and then I go from there. I did go down a needle size. I think it recommended 6s, and I think I did it on 5s. I may even did it on 4s. And so that's what I figured out in terms of getting sweaters to fit. Is I do the gauge swatch, I do my measurements, and I figure out, you know, the fabric I like, and then I just knit the size according to my calculations. And whether or not it makes sense, that is what has worked. The 2 sweaters I've knit since then, for me, I've used that and it's worked. So that's kind of my process. Also, I know knitting sweaters in pieces makes them more structurally, like, have stronger structure, but I find that being able to try on the sweater as you go is really helpful and really reassuring. So the ones I've knit, the first one I knit, the Chimera cardigan, was knit in pieces, and everything since then has been knit in one piece. This was bottom up, and the Tea Leaves cardigan was the one I knit. After that was top down. And what was the other one I knit? Oh, the Ease. That was top down. Yeah, I think that was top down. Yes, it was top down. And then you added the collar. That was the difference. I was like, I know I finished with the collar, but it's because you knit it top down, add the collar. That was it. And so it's kind of my sweater knitting process. The other finished object I wanted to show was that I fixed the collar on my husband's sweater, the Grant Park pullover. It wasn't tall enough for him. He wanted it taller, which is fine. It's a knit sweater. I can do that. So I ripped out the bind off and I picked up the stitches that were live and knit another 1.5 inches. So that little marker is where the original edge was. And so that's what I did, and I did that yesterday, and then I rebounded off and he tried it on and it's perfect. So ta-da! It looks like it stands up a little bit, but when he puts it on, it doesn't. So that is finally done. I finally fixed something in my fix-it pile. I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, so that's the other thing I fixed. But I wanted to show this and talk about this pattern in particular. It's a great looking like finished object wise, it's fantastic. Knitting it is pretty simple. The pattern is terribly formatted. It's really hard to read and made things really complicated, and was really hard to follow, personally. I mean, the formatting was consistent and it looked nice, but it was just really hard to follow. And it was really frustrating for a pattern, that I paid for, that I'm assuming was, it must have been tested and tech edited, but it was really hard to follow. Things were all over the place, it seemed like, and maybe it was just me having a hard time reading it, but it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear that, like, okay, if you're knitting, it said, like, oh, for this size, knit this, but then it'd be this huge chunk of stuff, and then it's not like bold later. It says, if you're knitting this size, bolding, that would have helped a lot in this, just to tell me, like, this size for you. But it was just, like, okay, so I knit this section up here, and then I have to skip like a page and a half to do the next section, and then like go back up here for the next section. It was crazy. Anyway, that being said, I love the way it looks finished. I love the way that it's clever that I don't know if I can, because it's black. I can show this, but it's got diamonds on the front. It was showing earlier. Maybe not. Anyway, there we go. So there's these diamonds on the front, and they very neatly go into the raglan decreases. Those were also a nightmare. If you remember earlier, I missed doing the raglan decreases. It was on the back. Or was it? I don't remember. There was somewhere I missed some decreases, and I had to go back and fix something. Anyway, that was another thing about reading the pattern, was really hard. And maybe if I'd printed it and highlighted it, but even then, it was really complicated. It was a lot more complicated than I wanted it to be. If I'm going to read a pattern, I want it to make sense. I want it to make logical sense of where I'm supposed to go next for my next instruction. The other thing that I thought was really kind of funny was that the instructions for the sleeve, like there was all the instructions for the sleeve, and then on the bottom it was like, knit another sleeve. And I'm like, if someone didn't assume that you're only supposed to knit 2, they could end up knitting a lot of sleeves. It was just really kind of odd. Like, yes, I'm supposed to knit a second sleeve, but after I knit the second sleeve, then I'm still reading the instruction that says, knit another sleeve. When I go back and knit a third one, I only got 2 arms. I don't know. It was just kind of funny. I'm like, okay, I personally know that I'm only supposed to knit 2 sleeves, but a newer knitter who this might be their first or second sweater, hopefully they have enough common sense, but still, like, it would make common sense to, like, knit a second sleeve and then stop. Don't knit 10 sleeves. Anyway, that's my little rant. That being said, I'm very happy this is done, and my husband loves it, and that's all that matters. He wanted a black sweater, I knit him a black sweater. And that's Leading Men Fiber Arts Dramaturg in Darkest Hour, which is a joy to knit with. I love it. That's the same base I used for my hat mitts and cowl patterns. And I love that base. Fantastic. Well, I think, let me look back at my show notes. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about sweaters is pills. Pills on sweaters happen, especially on this one, because it's a single ply. And yesterday I went through with my pill shaver. It also catches on all of the hangnails I have. And I shaved all the pills off of it. And it looks splendiferous. There's one sleeve. Where is the sleeve? I didn't do one sleeve, just to show you the difference. It's definitely this sleeve. I don't know if you can see at all. Maybe more on this side. But you can kind of see some pills along the edge here. Some especially on the cuffs. They happen a lot in the armpit area because that's where things rub a lot. I find also kind of down by the sleeve. but you can kind of see the pills if I show it this way. Anyway, I have pill shaver, lint shaver thing from Knit Picks. It is a motorized one. It's right here. I'm just going to grab it real quick. Okay, so I have the Knit Picks lint shaver, it's called, and it looks like this. And you take this plastic thing off, and that's the sleeve. If you're wearing earbuds, I'm going to turn on a motor, just forewarning. It's not loud, but it's got these like little rotating blades in there. You probably can't see them. Here, if I take this off. It's got these little rotating blades in there that just shave things off. And I have had no problems with it damaging the sweater. You do have to clean it every once in a while. It does come with a little brush for you to clean it. Although often if I just, like this pops off and you can empty it. I filled it up at least twice yesterday from shaving all the pills off all my sweaters. But sometimes things get caught in here. That's why you just twist to remove this. And then, like, you know, things get caught around here and you can just very easily remove those or blow them out. Anyway, I'll show you how it works. There's a little switch. And you just run it along the sweater. I mean, I stick my hand in there and just run it along it. Adjust the sweater a little bit. And, you know, if there's areas with particularly bad pills, then you want to run it over a few times. And it's not perfect. It's not going to get everything. But it definitely makes a world of difference. And you can push pretty hard. I mean, I'm not like jamming it in there, but I am giving a little bit of pressure. I'm just kind of going in circles. Sorry, I realize I'm doing this down low. You can't really see what I'm doing. But you just kind of go in circles. There's a lot of pills right here. You're just going to go in circles until you get mostly everything. It's not going to grab everything. I think maybe those combs, I know there are lint combs, might do a better job, but you can see it collects little pills in there. Ta-da! So, that's my little lint shaver demonstration, but especially on single ply sweaters, even commercially bought sweaters, I got a good number of pills off my commercially bought sweaters yesterday as well. And you know, pills happen. Get a lint shaver. It was really cheap and it's really simple. It's probably easier if you put on the sweater and then do it, at least on the front and the sleeves. But on the back, you either have to have someone help you or put the sweater on backward or do it with your hand. Either way, I just did them all with my hand yesterday. I just went in and did just kind of do them section by section. And it was really quite easy. You know, this is easy to take with you on a trip. Actually, I have never tried one of the combs. That'd be interesting to try. To see the difference. But those will also be easy to take with you. I wanted to show you that this, I don't know if you can see that, but this top part here actually goes in. So when you're pushing on your sweater, don't be afraid to like push on it a little bit, because it is flexible. The little mesh thing has a little bit of flexibility in it. So don't worry about like ripping a hole in your sweater. It's okay. I know I was watching, I don't remember who I was watching, another podcast of like being afraid of like the thing hurting your sweater. I haven't found that it's hurt my sweaters at all. I mean, obviously, hopefully they're not going to put out a product that's going to hurt your sweaters. So, it's a little cheap little tool that I found for upkeep of my sweaters. I do wash them periodically. I haven't washed this one yet. I mean, this is single ply and not super wash, so it's not getting washed in the like washing machine. But most of my other sweaters are super wash. And oh, I did wash my E's the other day, or the other week. And I threw it in the washer with the rest of my clothes. I threw it in the dryer, and I took it out maybe halfway through, and then laid it out to dry. Just because the reason I did that is the dryer will take out a good chunk of the moisture in the beginning. Like it won't be wet when you take it out. It'll be damp, slightly damp, and then you can kind of shape it how you want and then let it dry. So it's a nice way of it. It doesn't take as long to dry flat. Some of my commercially bought sweaters I have washed and then just laid flat to dry completely. And I think one of them I even soaked. I didn't put it in the washer. I soaked and then reshaped it because it was a little short and a little wide. So I just like stretched it down, and now it's a little thinner and a little longer. I have a long torso, so that worked out. The style seems to be like really baggy. I'm like, no, I don't do that. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. I hope that was helpful for the process of knitting sweaters. If you have any more questions, let me know. I know there was someone who asked me about knitting socks, and that's going to be the flora and fauna for next week, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully that time I will have my sock pattern a little more ready, and that will be helpful. So, sorry for this being a long episode, but I hope the sweater talk was helpful in some way. I hope you enjoyed the Lego and my humidifier. Oh, there's my husband's Waldo socks back there. And that's my, actually under our air filter there is my sock drawer. Just a fabric sock drawer. And it's overflowing with socks. And yet I still knit myself more. I have my commercial socks in there as well as my knit socks. But I tend to go for my knit socks first because they're on the top. And I like them. So today I'm wearing my, I'll take them off my feet so you don't have to look at me trying to put my feet up in the camera. But these are my May Stripes. They're the yarn is May Stripes by Alaskan Nancy. And she's the one who does the Russian Rainbow that's really popular, that colorway. And this is the No Pearl Monkeys Toe Up. Ta-da! My very few self-striping. I think it's one of 2 self-striping socks that I own. And now Jeremy owns one. And then I will also get a pair of those for my Wenda costume, but it's further on down the road. So, ta-da! Now that the sun is set and it's like completely dark outside, I will let you all go. I'm going to go back to fixing the website, or not fixing the website, but adding the thing to the website, fixing the styles on the thing that needs to go on the website, and eat some dinner, and finish the heel turn on my static Zing socks. I think I forgot to say by Megan Williams. I don't know if I said that earlier. Oops, sorry, Megan. And who so kindly gifted me the pattern, so thank you, Megan. I'm really enjoying how they're knitting up. And I realized that when I finished those, I'm going to have enough yarn to knit another 2-color sock. I think I have another pattern in mind, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I will stop rambling on before this hits an hour. And this is the longest episode ever. Anyway, hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.